Hello, boys and girls. The story I want to read is a favorite in the Beach household, and it's called Carmine, A Little More Red. The author is Melissa Sweet. Alphabet. Carmine had a beloved granny who taught her how to read by making alphabet soup. Granny spooned the letters to form a word, and before long, Carmine was reading the whole bowl. Whenever Granny makes a pot of alphabet soup, she invites Carmine to lunch. Beware. On this day, as always, Granny told Carmine it was important to stay on the path and beware of dangers along the way. Clutter. Carmine rummaged through her clutter and gathered up her pencils, paper, and paint, and anything else she might need along the way to Granny's. Some people dilly-dally once in a while, but Carmine made a habit of it. Carmine's mother reminded her to go directly there. Please, no dawdling. Carmine and Rufus took off through the woods. They rode up and down the hills until they came to the edge of a field. There were some big tracks along the path. Rufus kept sniffing the air. Still, Carmine thought this looked like a safe enough place just to stop and rest. Exquisite. It was a clear morning. The light was exquisite. Carmine began making a picture for Granny. Farther. She started filling her painting with color. It may seem far-fetched to think that any painting can be improved by adding a little more red, but Carmine believed it to be true. The poppies in the distance caught her eye, and she wandered farther to get a better look. Green. Walking along, carrying her easel, Carmine noticed how the sunlight flickered on the tall green grass and ferns and flowers. She made sketches in her notebook. Granny would love this painting best of all. Thinking of Granny, Carmine wrote a haiku. My granny is plump, her soup will make me want more. The secret is bones. Indeed. Meanwhile, Rufus noticed an odd scent in the air indeed. He knew a wolf when he smelled one. Joke. Rufus was nervous at the thought of a wolf nearby. It is no joke that a wolf could eat a dog in the blink of an eye. Knoll. By now Carmine was far away on a knoll. She could see Granny's house and even Granny's sheep way in the distance. And she could still see Rufus, just barely. Lurking. Most wolves practice the fine art of lurking. Mimic. A mockingbird landed above Carmine's head. Mockingbirds are famous for the ability to mimic sounds of all kinds. This one was snarling and growling and licking its chops. It even howled. Nincompoop. Everyone knows it isn't very nice to call a person or even a bird a nincompoop, but sometimes Carmine could not help herself. Omen. The mockingbird reminded Carmine that her granny had heard a wolf howl just last night. She wondered if this bird was a sign of trouble, a bad omen. Pluck. Anyone else might have gotten the heebie-jeebies from a bird making sounds like that, but Carmine had a good deal of pluck. She rolled up her sleeves and went back to painting. Quiver. A rustling noise in the bushes made Rufus quiver. Reckoned. Rufus reckoned this was a full-fledged wolf in front of him. He could tell by the large eyes, big ears, long nose, and teeth. Surreal. Rufus began to bark And the wolf knew exactly what he was saying. Surreal as it may seem, dogs are descendants of wolves, and it made sense that the wolf could understand his language. It took the wolf just a little while to get to Granny's house. Trouble. As soon as Granny spotted the wolf outside, she grabbed the key to lock the door. She didn't want any trouble, but it was too late. Granny screamed to the top of her lungs, "Wolf!" Doors slammed, pots clattered. Granny saw her kitchen turned upside down, and then it went quiet. Usually, Usually the neighbors are home and would have heard Granny's cry for help. And usually a woodcutter is around, but on this day, he was deep in the woods felling trees for a treehouse. Voila, voila, Carmine just exclaimed as she finished her painting. It was at that moment she heard the cry, "Wolf!" It meant, voila, there you are, or there you have it in French. Worry. When she heard the cry, she was filled with worry. Carmine raced to Granny's as fast as she could. Hang on, Rufus. X-ray. No one really has X-ray vision except for superheroes. And Carmine was not a superhero. At the little white house, all she could see of her granny were her glasses flung across the floor. There were tracks and footprints, but no granny. Meanwhile, back at his den, the wolf held out an armful of bones, and his pup began to yap their heads off. Yodel. When all hope seems lost, Carmine and Rufus heard an odd noise, sort of like a yodel. The sound made Rufus berserk, and Carmine yanked on the closet door. One day, you head out down the road with no worries. Then the next moment, you think your granny has been eaten up by a wolf. But just as quickly, voila, here she is, hiding in a closet, yodeling, and everything is okay again. Zillion. Granny and Carmine served up the alphabet soup. Rufus ate a bone. The wolf left behind. Granny reminded Carmine that she had been told a zillion times not to dilly and dally in the woods. Carmine said that she would never dawdle again. She gave her Granny the painting she had done, and Granny hung it on the wall with the rest of Carmine's pictures. I knew you'd like it. Carmine and Rufus zoomed home, and they didn't stop once. I hope you've enjoyed it. Here's the recipe for Granny's alphabet soup.